advanced notifications, standings, breaking news, advanced notifications, standings, breaking news, advanced. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 77, and today we are returning with a special in-depth look at the save after what was one of my most bizarre season finales ever. Brentford's Cinderella story saw us go all the way to the Champions League final. And in a season where we were the top scorers in England with over 100 goals in the league, where we had 3 straight knockout rounds where we just scored goals for fun against Bayern Munich, Barcelona, the holders Borussia Dortmund, and won through sheer offensive prowess alone. In the final of the Champions League against AC Milan, expecting fireworks, we ended up winning the trophy by a goal to nil. It really was one of the most bizarre Champions League finals I've ever played. But Brentford have won the treble. In today's episode, guys, special in-depth look at the save. We are going to go through the team one last time with Brentford. Because as I said in the very last episode, my mind is made up. We've just won the treble. We've got Brentford to a 5-star team. There's nothing left to do. It's time to leave the community stadium. We'll take one last look at Brentford, what's going on around the world, and then look at the jobs available and decide where we might go next. Bring it on. So where else to start than by taking a look at our Brentford team. What a fantastic core we assembled with the Bees, and what great progression we saw, not just from the signings we brought in and the young talent we brought to the club, but also the players that were here to begin with. When you think about it, Toney was here to begin with. He grew to 86 overall. Bueno here to begin with, grew to 85 overall and became an official attacking mid. Silva, best season to save, Champions League win up to 83 overall. So 3 of our originals held down and maintained starting 11 places. Rico Henry was on the bench, and then we brought back former Bs like Ezri Konsa, like Ollie Watkins. You know, it's been an amazing team. When you look at it as well, it is unbelievable. I think if we were to stay here next season, if you were just talking about overall alone, then you would say Josh De Silva was a weak link. And it's a brilliant, strong link to have when the weak link is the guy that won you the Champions League and had his best season of this save. Otherwise, really, where do you improve? New centre-half, well, Ben White coming in, Pratt on the bench, and of course Santos, who was amazing in the CL final. I mean, this is just an amazing team. Could it be improved on? Hey, listen, if you're a perfectionist, you can always improve. Everyone knows that. But at the end of the day, this is about as good as we could have got it in 5 seasons. In 5 seasons! That's the thing as well, in 5 seasons. It's an incredible first 11. The bench is brilliant, especially when going forward with Lallana and Watkins taking seats on the bench. And then you look at the reserves as well. The depth we've got here. Tuanzebe, Ryan Niambe, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Lingard's decreased but still showed his worth. You know, and some amazing youth academy talent, including this guy, who I'll be honest here, after loaning me out, he came back so good. I'm kind of gutted I'll never really get to use him. He looks amazing, to be fair. However, it's an amazing Brentford team. I talked about it during the season. We became a 5-star team, and we became a 5-star team on merit. Absolutely brilliant Brentford squad as a whole, and I'm so pleased with what we were able to build in these 5 seasons. So the final thing we'll do is take a look at the stats of the players in the first season and give some particular shout-outs. Justin Balo, what a save in that CL final. He really was a big game goalkeeper. He made some mistakes, but all goalkeepers make mistakes in this year's FIFA, which I kind of like. Raya, of course, here since the very beginning, now 30 years old. Might have lost his place. We kept him here because we love him. Fan favourite, David Raya. James Justin, great signing from the Foxes, growing 1 rating this year to 84 overall. That was a bargain by left wing back this season. Rico Henry, one of the originals with Brentford, absolutely brilliant. Might have had his game time reduced after Stanley and then James came in, but even so, what a great left back and definitely worth keeping around. Ben White obviously came in on transfer deadline day to replace Sangare. I said when we made that move, would it backfire? I think the answer was no. Ezri Konsa returning to Brentford from Aston Villa. What an inspired piece of business that was, growing to 86 overall at 28 years old. Yeah, it's safe to say he really kicked on here since returning to West London. Now this guy, I tell you, Francisco Santos, 1 year with us, growing 1 rating to 84 overall at just 22 years old, ever present in our back 5 this season. He is an absolute monster with 95 strength. He's brilliant. I must say, wherever we go next, I'm very tempted to bring this guy with me. I see him nodding the head there. He wants to come. He wants to come with me to wherever we go next. Big Chris remained with us as a squad centre-half. To be fair, never complained. Fair play. Tuanzebe was a great little signing from Old Trafford. Sean Pratt was kind of gutted this guy never reached his full potential. But we know the main reason why was not due to a lack of game time or a lack of form. You see the stats right there. Nothing to do with that. It's just that he lost his potential tag from potential to be special to showing great potential, and he never got it back. And I don't know why, because he never put a foot wrong. Still moving forward, Fagan Walcott, Finn Stevens won the original streak. Lamptey, what a brilliant signing he was back in Season 3 from what were a relegated Brighton side, growing 2 ratings to 87 overall. As we know, rapid, and I would say, in terms of underrated players in the team, this guy was the most underrated. Absolutely rapid. Look at the assists he picked up, 13 in 48. That is so impressive, and great on the defensive end as well. 10 in 32 in the Premier League, clean sheets that is, and a couple of goals too. He is an unreal right wing back, man, and it was going to be a tough ask to take out Ryan Nyambe, who we absolutely loved, brought in as one of my very first signings back in Season 1, but it's safe to say, once Tariq out-muscled Ryan, he was not going to let that first choice right wing back role go. Great to have them both here, though, to be fair. Moving forward, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, bargain buy from Arsenal. I must admit, barely played the guy consistently, but was always consistently part of the squad. And whenever he did play, put in good performances. I mean, he's averaging a 6.4, but even so, in the game, sometimes gets the ratings wrong. Even so, as a squad player, couldn't have asked for much more. Moving forward here, got a few youth players. Frank Onyeka, here since the very, very beginning. Obviously, since signing Wilfred Ndidi at the start of the season, we knew his minutes were going to get reduced, and reduced they were. Having said that, growing to 82 overall at 28 years old, part of the original Brentford squad, I was never going to sell the guy, man. I considered it, but I was never going to do it. He was so good. Ndidi, club record signing. 89 overall, and I'm convinced if we did one more season at Brentford, he would become the first player to hit 90. He or Roberto, both 89 overall, but I would have backed Wilfred to do it first. Ever present, though. It's what Ndidi does on the defensive end. It's the things you don't see that made this guy an amazing pickup from Leicester City. Did he get a couple of goals? Yeah. Did he get a couple of assists? Yeah. But what he did on the defensive end, what you didn't see, is what made this guy so integral to our team's success, no doubt about it. Stanley Young, I'm gutted about. Because he should have been the next star, and I don't understand why. I only played him 14 times this season. He grew 1 rating to 79 overall. But even in the limited game time, he was still as effective as ever. 6 goals in 7 in the Premier League, 9 and 3 assists in 14 in all competitions, and amazing across the board. I just don't understand why he never grew. Like I said, dynamic potential is great, but sometimes it just doesn't seem to work, like with Sean Pratt as well. Tom Davis, what a pickup he was back in Season 2. Free transfer, released by Everton. I said, Tom, you know, you've been a Goodison part for a while, now come play with us, see what you can do. This guy was always coming off the bench. Like always. I just brought this guy off the bench with like 20 minutes to go. And because his passing was so good, I didn't bring him on for energy, despite the high work rates and the box-to-box development plan. I brought him on to retain possession. In games where we were winning by like 1 or 2-0, I brought this guy on just to knock the ball around and kill the crowd. He did just that. Brilliant that role. But in terms of pure box-to-boxes that understood their role, I mean, this guy had the best season of the save, and I think he got more appearances than anyone else in this team, but maybe apart from Toney and Gutierrez. But 54 games, ever present, 11 goals, best goal scoring season of the save, and Champions League game winner. For a Brentford original, a player that was here when we inherited the team, Josh De Silva. I love it. 83 overall, didn't grow our rating. I think he's maxed out now at 27 years old. When you look at his stats, this guy is a jack of all trades and a master of many as well. His passing's so good, but going forward, we saw this season he can score goals. We know he can take those long shots. And in the end, his best season of the save, I think it was really fitting that a Season 1 OG, not a player that I signed, but someone that was here from the very beginning, that was our vice-captain to Ivan Toney, ended up winning us the Champions League. What a memorable way to bow out for Josh De Silva. Still moving forward, Brian and Bueno. Didn't I compare this guy to Nikita Dragan earlier on in the series? Yeah, probably the most bizarre comparison I've ever made. There's very little to compare the two of them, but even so, the reason why is because we talked about it. Transitions take time. Brian and Bueno became a central attacking midfielder in this team after a lot of hard work and a lot of time. He began as a striker. It was his best role. We don't play all wingers. He was bench. Then he was back in the team. Then he was bench. Then he was back in the team. I just couldn't get it sorted. And in the final season of his contract, I said, no, I'm going to keep the guy here. I'm going to give him one more year. What a decision that was. Because at 26 years old in the prime of his career, growing to 85 overall. Last year was his best in the save. This year, maybe not quite as good. But it's hard to argue with 20 assists in 28 Premier League games. Back-to-back assist title winner, 27 in 39 in total. Brian and Bueno, the third man option to Toney and Gutierrez. But talk about a great third man option he was. Absolutely brilliant and so happy I persisted with him. Jesse Lingard, the vet of the team, 9 goals and 6 assists in 22 games. But whenever he played, just brilliant. 5 goals and 5 in the Champions League. He was like our group stage hero, And whilst he might be decreasing and he's gone down 2 ratings, this will most likely be his final season, if not his penultimate season with the club. But you gotta have those vets. You got to have those presences, those dressing room leaders. Jesse Lingard taking over from Daniel Wass, about as good as you could have got. Moving forward, this guy was the forgotten man. Let's move past him. Ademola Lookman, 84 overall, didn't grow, stuck at 28 years old. It was always going to be hard to outmuscle Toney and Gutierrez. In a brief period of time where he was starting, due to the Toney injury, he was really good. But a consistent source of goals from the bench. 7 in 24, that is just under 1 in every 3. And again, really solid forward in this team and a great injection of pace when I needed it, including, as I'm gutted, I never got to use this guy, man. I'm tempted wherever I go next to bring this guy with me. He's amazing! Just never got a chance to use him. But obviously Ricky J. Jones, the forgotten man, first season of the save where he failed to score, to be fair, in just 4 goals, and probably all of them coming from the bench, that's not a surprise. But Ollie Watkins, I would say this season was our hidden gem. But he's not a hidden gem at 30 years old, because everyone knows who he is. Grew a rating to 84 overall, but 11 goals and 11 assists in 36, particularly in the Premier League. That's where he's shone. 8 in 19 and 7 assists as well. Off the bench, this guy was exactly what I needed in late game situations. Pacey, hard-working, and a pure poacher. In behind the back line, as practically all of his goals came like that. Coming in behind the back line, going one-on-one and slotting it home. Couldn't have asked for a better backup striker, but for the dynamic duo, the dual heroes of the save, Ivan Toney, now 30 years old, reclaimed his golden boot from his right-hand man, his protege, Roberto Gutierrez, and showed he's still got it. 43 in 51 in all competitions. One of the main reasons we won the treble. I think he was the top scorer in the Champions League as well, wasn't he? 8 goals in 9 games, I think that's right. But even at 30 years old, still growing 2 ratings. And the one thing I would say about Ivan Toney in this year's FIFA, if you haven't tried him, guys, he is probably one of the best aerial players I've ever seen. This guy wins practically every header. He's unbelievable. And the shocker, one of the very few heroes I've had that have made their marks on multiple saves. Ivan Toney joins an elite club of Doc's legends. But his protege, the guy to follow in his footsteps, well, talk about a great long-term successor. Roberto Gutierrez, the goal machine. 41 in 50. They had such similar stats this year. 8 in 10 in the Champions League, 31 in 37 in the Premier League, and growing 3 ratings to 89 overall. 5-star, physical beast, technically amazing, and there's no doubt about it. This guy is ready to step out of the shadow of Ivan Toney and become the star in his own right. I'm ready for the next chapter, and wherever I go, Roberto's coming with me. Now, very briefly, moving on to our objectives this season. You can see our manager rating rose to 95, one of the highest it's been in the entire series. I think we only failed that one objective, that long-term one, which we still would have the chance to hit, though we probably wouldn't. But yeah, everything else we hit. Every other target we hit. It's very rare that I hit the vast majority of my manager objectives, especially the ones off the pitch. but we only didn't hit one, and that's because it's a long-term one, although we probably would fail it regardless. But even so, very happy with that. Now, the one thing I think I forgot to do at the end of the season was show you what happened in the other major European competitions. So I'm going to do that real quickly now. Just one final recap of the Premier League for our title-winning season. 3 points ahead of what were the champions, Liverpool, and 105 goals getting scored as well. That's why I still find it so funny that the Champions League was not won by high-powered offense after what happened in the previous rounds, but on defense instead. But very briefly, the Carabao Cup this season was won by Manchester City. Obviously, we won it last season, our first major honour to save. This year, yeah, knocked out in the fourth round by Arsenal. But like I mentioned, I was okay letting it go because I had my sights on bigger domestic honours, including the FA Cup, which we won, including the Premier League, which we won, our first ever domestic double, and it was wrapped up by winning the Champions League. Before we get there though, I will show you the Europa Conference League, and that was won by Eintracht Frankfurt this season. The Europa Conference League is always interesting to see who wins it as the years go by. The Europa League this season was won by Manchester City, beating Inter Milan in the final by 3-2, so very interesting indeed. I always find English teams always do really, really well in the Europa League nowadays, so Manchester City winning that under Guardiola, but of course, as for the big one, the Champions League. Oh yeah, Brentford, first ever European trophy, first ever treble, and I mentioned it in the final. What a way to get there as well. That comeback victory over Bayern, courtesy of Gutierrez's hat-trick. The win over Barcelona, courtesy of Toney's hat-trick in the first leg. The semi-final win over Dortmund is a collective team effort against the side that wanted me 2 years ago. And then the bizarre final where we shut AC Milan out for an hour and a half. Just a really crazy way to end the season, but as memorable as it gets. So I'm going to show you the other leagues in world football. We'll start with the Championship, where the Foxes, after last year's shock relegation, have an instant return to the Premier League. And that is hardly a surprise. 107 points, 10 points clear of Watford, who are also coming back up the playoffs. Sheffield United, West Brom, Middlesbrough and Blackburn Rovers as well. That is the Championship. As for League 1 and League 2, the other leagues in the Football League, Derby County shook off their troubles with a points deduction to gain promotion back to the Championship. I know, of course, points deductions happen in the game, but hey, I'm just trying to tie in real life with the game. They're up to the Championship, as are Lincoln City, and those are the playoff teams for you there as well. Oh, well, Newport, come on lads, you need Gavin Humphreys, don't you? As for the League 2 though, this is how it went. Wickham, Forest Green Rovers, the Vegans and Walsall are up to the League 1 with the playoff teams there. And who was bottom of the Football League? It's always interesting to see it. Harrogate Town this year, rock bottom of the Football League. Safe to say PSG are back on top of French football. They won Liga in by just a small margin of 22 points this season, ahead of Marseille, and a whopping 17 points clear of Stade Rennais as well in third place. PSG back on top of French football. Now, as we knew, the Bundesliga was absolutely fascinating this year. It was Bayer Leverkusen who ended up winning it by 10 points, RB Leipzig in second, Bayern dropped to third, and Dortmund missed out on the top four altogether. Wild for the Champions League holders of last year. Now it's us, of course, but Dortmund missing out on the top four altogether. That is very interesting indeed, but fair play. As I always say though, take the league tables with a pinch of salt, because we know they change drastically all the time. If I was to reload the save, this could be a completely different top six. Dortmund could have won it, you never know. But moving forward to Serie A, it's such a shame because of the licensing, what's happened to the Serie A in the game. As we know, there's only one Italian league now, and it is just the top tier. But, you know, Juventus were top, and Atalanta were second, and Lazio were third. But they haven't got their real names or badges or kits, and it's just such a shame because Italian football is great. I love it, and the Serie A is such a fun team to manage in, but now because of the licensing, I wouldn't necessarily say it's unplayable, but it's hard to get immersed in it, you know, because of the lack of realism. But even so, that's how it finished, with Inter Milan in 5th, and AC Milan in 6th, and Roma in 7th. Very interesting indeed. I do a few more, of course. The Dutch League this year was won by PSV Eindhoven, beating Ajax by 7 points to the Eredivisie title. The Portuguese title is practically always won by Porto or Benfica. This season it was the former. Sporting were runners-up, Benfica in 3rd place in the end, but that is normally the traditional top 3. Porto or Benfica normally win it, and Sporting are normally 3rd. In this season, it was Porto. The Cinch Premiership, which I didn't realise was a sponsor. I only found that out for an advertisement on Capital Radio. I didn't realise that was actually a sponsor. I thought it was a bug initially. But Celtic crowned champions of the Scottish Premier League with Rangers finishing runners-up. That's practically always the 1-2 in FIFA career mode. And as for La Liga, well, as you can see, Xavi's Barcelona with an okay season, but not exactly what they would have wanted at the Nou Camp. Real Madrid were crowned champions, finishing 8 points clear of Atletico Madrid in second place. Real Sociedad also getting to the top 4, with Bilbao in 5th, Villarreal in 6th, and Valencia finishing in 7th in the La Liga table this season. Now, we'll do one more, shall we? Turkish Super League. Fenerbahce, champions this year, 1 point clear of Trabzonspor. Galatasaray finishing in 5th place, very interestingly indeed. And I would do the MLS, but as we know, like, the season doesn't get concluded until towards the winter time, I think it is. I think that's right. But right now, it sort of be just in its early sort of foundations. It's Real Salt Lake who are currently topping the MLS for the time being. Of course, we know it's only just got going really in America. So that is it then. Nothing left to do with Brentford after winning a historic treble in our 3rd season. And the only real question is now, where are we going next? Well, very briefly, just before we get there, I will end with Brentford by showing the My Career stats in this series. Of course, in our very first season, it was tough. It was a really, really tough first season with Brentford. We avoided relegation, but we only did it with a couple of games to spare, reaching the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup and, of course, the 6th round of the FA Cup. Great run in the FA Cup in our first season too. I was finishing in 14th place. There was a real cluster of teams down the bottom though, so 14th is quite deceptive. We only won 16 games all season long. We lost more than we won in our first season, and that showed you how tough the beginning of FIFA 22 was. Second season, I feel we really kicked on. We finished in mid-table in the Premier League. We had that run towards the end where we thought maybe, just maybe, we could make Europe. We didn't, but even so. 5th round the FA Cup, 3rd round the Carabao Cup, and as you can see, our big move that year was Ezri Konsa coming in for 29 mil as we improved to 11th. I think the 3rd season was probably the season where we made the most progression as a team. We spent big on Ibrahim Sangare and turning from a holding mid to a centre half, and I think this was the year where we really kicked on and developed as a core, whilst also bringing in a star like Sangare as well. Semi-finals of the FA Cup, and as we know, finishing in 6th place in the Premier League, only just narrowly missing out on the Champions League. That to me was the season where we sort of kicked on and really made that progression. And of course the following season, well, that was where we won our first major honour. Season 4, finishing in 2nd place in the Premier League, runners up to Liverpool. Yes, we were 20 points behind, but even so, it was still a really good season overall for Brentford. And then, of course, heading into this season, our final season, whilst, of course, it will say NA, because the season hasn't officially ended, as we know. Did we hit our domestic cup objective? Yeah. Did we hit our league objective? Yeah. Did we hit our continental cup objective? Yeah, we won the treble, baby. We won the treble in Season 5. And I have to say, it was an absolutely amazing season, particularly in terms of scoring goals. 148 of them in 59, and we only lost 8 times overall. This was a season of dominance for Brentford. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. But in the end, we did what we wanted to do 1 or 2 seasons early, and I'm certainly not complaining. Our biggest win was our 6-0 victory over Norwich. That was a couple of years ago, I believe, and our biggest defeat was back in Season 2. That was 5-0 to Newcastle. I remember that game. I got absolutely torn apart by Callum Wilson. I just couldn't stop him. He turned into Prime R9. It was ridiculous. But even so, what a fantastic journey with Brentford at Community Stadium. 5 seasons, 1 EFL Cup, 1 FA Cup, 1 Premier League, and a Champions League as well. And whilst it will be amazing to try and retain it and defend the treble, I think now is the perfect time to move on, because how do you improve on this? What a way to bow out in West London. The question is, where do we go next? Do we replace Mikel Arteta and go from West to North London, take over at the Emirates after a shocking season finishing in 11th, try a rebuild with the Gunners at the Emirates Stadium? Do we go to our closest title rivals this year, parting ways with Jurgen Klopp, and take over with Liverpool and try and make them best side in England and the world as well? Manchester City, Europa League winners, they'll be in Champions League next season despite their 6th place finish in the league. They'll have one of the biggest budgets in the game. Phil Foden is still there. Liam Delap's to let her develop like crazy. Ruben Diaz, one of the best centre-halves in the game. Do we go to the Etihad Stadium? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time is up at Old Trafford. He's finally been sacked. Many people thought long overdue. The question is, who's going to be their long-term successor? Is it Doc Boxy boy. After a 5th place finish, they need a lot of work. They need a big rebuild. There's no doubt about it. But am I going to take over at Old Trafford and try and restore the former glory days at Old Trafford like the Fergie years? Not too sure. Tottenham Hotspur, brilliant series for Tottenham Hotspur. They've been consistently good since the very beginning, apart from one season. They finished in 3rd this year. They're going to the Champions League. That'd be a really interesting side to use with Harry Kane still there and him needing to be replaced long term. Is it Tottenham Hotspur we move on to next? Wolverhampton Wanderers, who got a taste of Champions League football this year, brought in some incredible players. They got a couple of amazing regens. Am I going to make a shock move to Molineux, or are we going abroad? Bayern Munich this season finished 4th place in the Bundesliga. By their standards, that's poor. But Jack Grealish has moved over there. They've got Lucas Hernandez, Dayupa Upamecano is still there. And we know Lewandowski's regen, Pavlovsky, is there as well. Is he going to have as good as a career as Lewandowski? Am I going to be managing him? Certainly tempted, no doubt about that. Borussia Dortmund wanted me 2 years ago. I said no. I said, boys, appreciate the offer, but not right now. Next year, they won the Champions League. This year, we beat them on our way to winning the Champions League. Is it now time to bury the hatchet and become manager at the Signal Iduna Park? RB Leipzig, champions in Germany, but one of the most hated teams. If we try and give them an identity and turn them from heel to face, who knows? I'm not too sure. Every time I reload the save, I'll get different teams. The next time I do it, we could have some Italian teams. The year after, the reload after that could be Spanish teams. I really don't know. I'm not going to lie, guys. Out of all of those teams there's one that really does excite me. You might be able to tell. In fact, you know what? In the comment section... in the comment section down below, let me know what team you think there excites me the most. I won't even give you a clue. Let me know in the comment section down below what team out of all of these amazing clubs to manage, all with different challenges, all with different tasks, all with different identities, what club do you think excites me the most moving forward? Let me know in the comment section down below. Having said that, this won't be the only list of clubs. I'll reload the save a few times. There'll be some others to choose between as well. I really don't know where we're going next, though. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. We could stay in England. We could go abroad. We could go for a project, go for a big boy. I really don't know. But that is time on Brentford Football Club, and what a way to bow out. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching the episode. I want to say thank you so much for watching the season. I want to say thank you so much for watching the save. And we're about to move close for the first time ever. 5 seasons down, an EFL Cup, an FA Cup, a Premier League, and now Champions League is part of a treble-winning season. It's time to say bye-bye to Brentford, but I can't wait for what comes next. Thank you for watching, guys. Have an awesome day. Much love to you all. And do not miss the very next episode. We're back with a quadruple upload weekend, starting a new season with a completely new team. And I've got no idea who it's going to be. I love you all, much love, and I'll see you for the start of our next chapter of FIFA 22 career mode very soon.